All right, what I have here is an HP-TX2, and the specific model number is, I believe, 1025DX. HP is known for having hundreds of model numbers for just one series of laptops, so those numbers that I just said, the 1025DX, is basically just telling you that, you know, the configuration that it came in, what processor and what accessories it has, such as Bluetooth or things like that. So anyhow, this one does not come with Bluetooth. This one did not come with Bluetooth, so that's one thing I'm going to be putting in it. These laptops are known to overheat, so that's another thing I'm going to be doing is changing the processor. It's an AMD processor still, but one of the things I'm going to be doing is undervolting it, and the other processor, which I got for about 20 bucks, I think may respond slightly better to undervolting. Anyhow, so this is the HP-TX2. The thing that makes this computer special is that it's a convertible laptop. So you go like this, and then you have a pin here. Now this is a touchscreen also. You can do what you need to do, or you can write on it. And the thing that really sets this computer apart from others is the DVD drive. So many computers of this form factor do not have DVD drives. This is in fact one of the only computers with a DVD drive that's a convertible tablet. The downside is that this computer overheats because of that AMD chipset that it has. Man, this computer gets hot. I'm talking about over 85 degrees Celsius. That's pretty damn hot. It's like a hair dryer. And the heatsink on this bad boy is shared by the processor and the graphics processor, so they kind of heat each other up. The graphics processor heats up the regular processor, and there's only one vent out here. There's not a lot of venting. It sucks up air on the bottom here and shoots it out here. It runs very, very hot. So hot that these computers had a lot of reliability issues. But I bought it anyway because of the CD drive. I mean, you can get computers. This is, gosh, what is the dimensions of this? I'm not sure. But I bought it because it has a CD drive, you know? I haven't abandoned DVDs and CDs yet, so that's one thing that I like. So I got this one running Windows 8, and officially HP does not even support Windows 8. One of the quirks was that I had to install the drivers for the touch display while I was on Windows 7, and then I upgraded to Windows 8. You cannot install those drivers on Windows 8 for whatever reason. I don't know. But if you are gonna have a chance to upgrade one of these to Windows 8, make sure you put your drivers on it before you switch to Windows 8. So I'll turn it on. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn it on and show you guys how hot it gets. You know, this computer is like brand new. The lady that bought it, she bought it from Best Buy for like $700-800 bucks a few years ago. I mean, these stickers are like brand new. It's never been used. I think that one of these keys is messed up. This one right here is kind of like crooked and can't really press it. That's the only thing that's the matter with this computer. I mean, look at how crispy these stickers are. So she basically bought it. Here's the stickers on the bottom. I mean, I've never even really seen a computer. Look at that. I mean, these stickers just wear out so easily, and it's like brand new. all of these stickers. It shows you how much she used this computer. This computer is just so. And then when she bought it, it was, I think, on, what was it? Should say here. I think it was on Vista. So, you know, I mean, you got this touchscreen. It was just, the hardware is a little bit ahead of its time, and Vista is just not the best operating system to be using with this computer. So this is a small computer. I forget the dimensions. I'll write that. But anyhow, on Windows 8, this computer's pretty cool. The thing is, the AMD processor is not the best because it overheats. So I'll show you guys how hot it gets and how long it takes to get that hot. So right now, here's my phone. It says 1025. 1025. Or 1225. 1025. Jeez. 1226. Okay. Alright, so here I am. You can kind of hear the computer, and you know, it took me a lot longer. It's 2:19, you know, it's like 2 hours later. Usually when I sit down with this computer, you know, it would get up to this temperature just by logging onto the internet. So right now I'm at 81 degrees Celsius. You can see right here my max temperature has been 86, but honestly right now I'm trying to beat the hell out of this computer to get it to heat up, just to show you that it can get up to this temperature. You know, I'm running a video here which has not skipped at all. This video is, what type of file format is this? I'm not even sure. Let's see. It looks like it's, gosh, I think it's AVI. It's not saying right here, but let me see. Let me go, if I go to properties. Looks like, yes, it is AVI. So I'm playing AVI episode of Star Trek Voyager. And I got this PDF. I got two PDFs open. Scrolling through those. And usually, you know, you know, who's gonna have a AVI playing, be scrolling through, you know, a couple PDFs simultaneously, and have three, well, I guess only two of them are playing right now, but have three videos of YouTube playing. One, oops, sorry. I got three videos of YouTube playing too. One, I don't know what this guy's doing. He's plugging something in to a car. 1, 2, 3. I got three videos. Here's another video. I got a couple PDFs open. Scrolling through those. And, you know, to tell you the truth, this is the best. And my CPU usage at 55. My memory's at 61. And this is the best this computer has ever, has ever responded. I'm at 81 degrees right now, but I mean, this is really overkill. I don't use this computer for playing video games, and I'm surprised that it has taken so much effort to heat it up, because I don't know if it was a problem with Windows or what, but it's undergone a couple updates, and right now it's just working really great. At times this CPU usage would be at 99% for no reason. And I think that was a Windows 8 problem. But now, I mean, this computer's right now, it's working great. I mean, this is the best it's ever worked, frankly. You know, and I got these things here. I got a slightly better processor for 20 bucks. I got a Bluetooth module, and I even got, let me unpack this. This is Copper Shim kit. This is like some thermal putty or something. Here's a Copper Shim, because this computer would just overheat all the time. And this is the thermal putty, and this is like some Japanese thermal compound. So, I mean, I was ready to tear this thing open,
and really go to work trying to cool it down. But all of that, you know, I've never seen it run this good. I mean, this is just without a hiccup. It's just working really well. So I'm kind of having second thoughts of tearing it open and doing this copper shim thing and all that, because it's taken a lot to get it up to 80 degrees. You know, before these updates, I'm not 100% sure that the updates are responsible for how well this thing is running, but sometimes I would be at school and just using a program like Autodesk Sketchbook to like write some notes on or whatever. This is a fellow student's picture. Let me move that over to the side. No, I don't want to go pro at all. I'm not even sure how to get out of this. It's got to swipe in from somewhere. Here we go. Sketching. Gallery. Yeah, sure. So, here we go. Gallery. I only got one image in the gallery. So, this is not. But this computer overheated when a fellow student was making this image. I mean, that's pretty sad. That's all he was doing, was just drawing this image. This is the pain in the ass right here. The thing about this computer and Windows 8 is that, you know, you gotta have like the magic touch. As far as like doing all those things, swiping in from the side and all that. This computer does not have a glass panel. It's some type of plastic, and it has like a high coefficient of friction compared to glass. So, you know, if your hands are dry, they're not really gonna slide across this very well, and you're gonna it's gonna zoom in when you don't want it to zoom in. But you know, right now I could not be. I mean, it's at 77, so it's still pretty hot. I would like to get this computer lower, so some of my videos have stopped playing, and usually, I mean, it would just be bouncing. You know, 75 is pretty cool, I would say, for this computer, but right now I can't believe how it's running. It's running really well. Anyway, I think I'm still going to tear it apart and do this copper shim stuff and that other processor, and I might even undervolt it. So we'll see how low we can go. All right. I want to show you. Look at how this piece of tape is like. I don't even know what that is. But it's it's like stuck sideways. It's not even flat on top of the memory. It's like stuck sideways over the RAM, and partially, I don't know. It's I think it's like blocking airflow a little bit. You know, it's in there sideways. So I'm gonna get this thing out of the way. It's a good thing that I opened this thing up, because this thing is like not where it's supposed to be. That's ridiculous that they would put a sticker in there like that, but that's all right. We'll take that out. So there's the RAM. Comes with Hynix RAM. I don't know, I'm zoomed in a little bit, so probably can't read it very well, but it's about time this computer got taken apart, because I think it's a little bit dusty in there. It's got hair on the RAM a little bit under the stupid sticker, so I'm gonna take this stupid sticker off. So this is my Bluetooth module, and I believe it goes down here in this corner right next to the switch that you would hit to turn Bluetooth on and off. So let's see. Luckily they sent this to me with a screw. I was kind of worried about that until I saw it in here. So let's see what we got. We got the connection cable, and then we got a Bluetooth module, which they say is actually for a Dell computer, but I guess they didn't make Bluetooth modules for this HP up to a certain spec. I think it's Bluetooth, I don't know, 2 point something or other. So this one was a little bit better. So that's why I got this one. Anyhow, I think it plugs in right here. And on the board, this is where your wireless switch is. This is the wireless symbol, and this is me using my thumb to do the switch. So let me zoom in and show you, I think, how this installs. And this is just going to be I might as well put it in and just leave it on. And then I'll get to the good stuff, the copper shim and all that other stuff, the processor. So let me zoom in a little bit. So I think it goes right down here. So let's see what we got. Here's our Bluetooth module, and there's even a screw in there, which is great. So let's see if we can install this Bluetooth module. Oh, there's two screws. So there's one screw. The other screw, I think, is stuck underneath my sticker. So there's the other screw. Now, how I think that this attaches. See, this is the part where why you need this cable. I think that the regular modules for the HP, I think they just plug in and you're able just to tie it down there. But since this is not an HP Bluetooth module, that's why you need this like converter cable. But they say it should work and everything, so let's see. Hopefully I can get these cable ends right. I don't know which ones. They look to be the same. I think just maybe the size. I don't think that it's actually a converter cable. I think it's just a cable that it's kind of more like an extension cable. So that way you can actually plug this in where it needs to be plugged in. Alright, sorry I can't get closer to this, but so the screws that they sent me, these little excuse me, I got these this Bluetooth adapter on eBay. So the screws that they sent me are way too small. So the screw that I need is actually the same screw. Sorry, my hand's in the way. The same screw that holds down the lid when you close it for the latches. Let me get this screw off of here. Okay, so this is the screw that I need. The one that they sent me is this one. So it's not a huge difference, but anyway, the screws that they sent me are not going to work for my application. And like I said, the screw that does work is the same screw that where the hold down latches are. You know, when you close the lid, that magnet pops up, and or this thing pops into the magnet. So that screw right there is the same screw that you need in order to hold down your Bluetooth. So, you know, I live in a town of 180,000 people. I don't think there's many craft stores. It's Saturday. It's about 4:12. You know, where am I going to find one screw like this so I can completely put my system back together and not have to take one screw from one part and put it on another part and then disassemble it again? I don't think that a lot of places carry screws that small. So all right, so this is a part that I've been waiting to do for a while. Been real busy. This is where I change out the processor and I do the copper shim. I would blow this all off, but I don't have a can of air, so I need to go into town anyway and go get one, so I'll do that. And these are numbered here. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I think even though the manual, the HP manual doesn't say anything about it, I'm gonna, well, maybe I should start with 4, huh? Whoops, well, 1 is already off, so start with 4, and go to 3, then go to 2. It might be like a car. In a car, you gotta be careful, especially when you put your rims on, to not tighten one down. Not tighten one lug nut down all the way and then try to put the other ones on. You gotta do them a little bit at a time. Each one a little bit at a time. And do them diagonally. So these are diagonal. 1, 2, and then 3 is diagonal from 4. So I think that's the idea, is that you don't tweak the board by putting a 1 on. You know, you tighten 1 up and then it's pulling on the board. Whoops. So this is fully all the way off. Whoops. All right, so now they said that there's adhesive, so you might have to wiggle it back and forth. And yes, there is compound. So the place where we would put the copper shim is, let's see, right here. Instead of this pad here, this is like some type of pad, and you can see that it's indented from having the GPU under it. So that's what was dissipating the heat from the GPU, and it's kind of sticky stuff. But it is a pad. It's not like this compound. See this compound here? That goes to the processor. So I'm going to be replacing the processor right now also. Just a very slight upgrade on the processor. So I want to be careful with this dust here because I keep, you know, nonchalantly just doing it over the board. So I'm going to put this to the side. And it's not going to touch anything, hopefully. Well, it might. So let me blow some of this dust off. That's just a little bit of the dust. I still got to get a thing of canned air. So let's see, what else was this thing cooling? I think it was cooling these down here, which I'm not 100% sure of what those are. As you can see, there is indents. So it looks like it's cooling a whole bunch of stuff. But the ones that are connected to the copper are the GPU, which is a smaller one of these chips, and the CPU. And the GPU is the one that's creating most of the heat, from what I understand from what people have been telling me, or from what I've read online. And then these things, which I have no idea what they are, but those are hooked up to just the heat sink. This metal here, I'm not sure what it is. Probably, I don't even know. Aluminum would be good. It's probably that's what it is. But so these pads are there too for these other parts, and I think that's, and it's not really. You can see the indentation on this thing. Hopefully, see how it's kind of, it cuts off. I mean, it's not, this one is the only one that's really all the way on there, but these other ones, only the corners of them are really on there. These other three. So this pad, see how got dust in my, so see, this pad I think was put onto this copper piece first, or not this copper, but whatever this is, aluminum or whatever, and then it was stuck onto this board. But I just want to see if this would even fit over these four. Oops. And now I'm getting all kinds of contaminants on this thing. But I don't even think that this thing is big enough to cover these things down here. It's pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. So I think it'd almost be better if we probably just left that part alone. But so there's that. I'm gonna leave that there. Might not be essential. This one also, you can see that this right one was all the way on, but this other one was only halfway on. So these things say like R36W. I'm not sure what that is. Anyhow, here's a new processor. It's only slightly better than the other one, but this one, the processor that's in here now is called the AMD. Let's see, what the hell is it called? I need to. Let's see what this thing is called. The processor that's in here is called the AMD Turion X2, right? So the one that I bought is just like the last one in the series. It's called the AMD Turion Ultra X2. And what it allows is for each of the dual cores to have different voltages, actually. So it's supposed to be a little bit better on battery. I'm sure it's not going to be a huge difference, but when I undervolt this computer in order to reduce the temperature, I think that might help a little bit in the undervolting. And it has some other stat that's a little bit better too. I didn't really get it because I thought it was going to be a huge difference in performance. I think it's like 0.2 gigahertz faster, and then it's like 400 megahertz something else. Some type of system bus or something. I don't know. I'll show you the stats later. So here, now I'm going to take off the processor. Uh-oh. See, I'm losing track of my screws. Getting so excited. Bam, so I unlocked the processor, and there it is. It's pretty easy. There's the old processor. That was pretty easy. So this is the one I'm gonna take off. This is the original one, if I can get back in the camera view. Okay, so don't need that one anymore. This is a new processor, and I'm gonna have to put some thermal compound on it. So let's just make sure it installs properly. Bam, dropped right on. Now I'm gonna lock it in place. Nice. There it is. That was pretty easy. That's almost easier than changing RAM out. There it is. So, slight difference. Anyway, I'm gonna put this back in the package for now, so that way I don't get no dust on it or whatever. Just leave that in there for now. And here's the old one I'm gonna take out. So for now, that's about it for now. So this here is the pad. I mean, that's a huge pad. You know, I'm gonna move this circuit board because the camera keeps trying to focus in on it. Let me move this. Let me just show you why the pad, why we're gonna shim this bad boy. Even now, even though the computer was acting, it was acting decent earlier. You know, the best that it's ever actually run. So this pad is pretty dang thick. So let's compare it to the shim. I mean, this, see how indented this is? It's not very indented. It really isn't compared to how thick the pad is. So that means that there's a huge gap between the heatsink and the GPU. I mean, huge gap. That you would need a pad that big. Whereas for the CPU, look at the gap is only on the CPU. The gap is only as big as that. How thick this thermal compound is. The thermal compound in the middle that's squished down. That's how tight the tolerance is for the CPU. But the GPU, the tolerance is that much? That's just kind of, I mean, that's just really weird. So here's the copper shim. So we're going to use copper shim in conjunction with this putty. Here's the putty. And that should be superior to this thermal pad, hopefully. And then here's some more compound, which I'm not exactly sure. I got the instructions for this, so hopefully we'll make it work. But you can see that this pad is just something else. Something really something else. So anyway, we'll continue later. All right, so now I can do some pretty good close-ups with the camera. I figured out how to do the macro setting. So you can see that it's kind of clogged up in there. So I'm gonna spray that out with some canned air and clean this fan assembly on up, so that way it flows freely. But actually, first I think I'm gonna clean off this old thermal compound. I think that That way I don't get all kinds of hair and stuff stuck in it and just make an even bigger mess. And the only reason why this is here is because this actually came with, I don't know what the heck this came with, something. But I'm just covering my other thermal pad here for those other little things. I'm just covering it up so it doesn't get hair on it when I blow this out. This is some type of sticker. Alrighty then. So I'm just gonna keep on cleaning this bad boy. Alright, this thing is finally about thoroughly cleaned. It's kind of tough getting that stuff out of the corners. Alright. I'm just going to blow this out over the edge of the table. Alright, the kit that I bought even comes with little pieces of sandpaper. And they say to sandpaper where this thermal pad was on the GPU. So I'm going to take this thermal pad off and set it to the side. And so I'm just going to sandpaper this thing. Alrighty. So I did that. Now I'm gonna blow this thing off one more time because I just sanded it, and blow it off on the side of the table though. And I'm gonna clean it off with more alcohol. Don't ask me why I just sanded that. I think they call it polishing it on these instructions. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm not even 10% sure. Well, I would say it's probably for some type of heat conductivity issue. So that's as deeply as I can read into that. I'm not sure exactly what I'm missing, but I'll take their word for it. They put together a nice kit. And they even say to sand bumps off the GPU. I'm not sure if that's standard procedure, and I'm not sure if I'm going to take that other piece of sandpaper to the GPU. But I am making sure that I get this part that I sanded all the way nice and clean. That's pretty dang clean. All right. So that's it for this piece. I blew dry it. I still have this to cover the sticky stuff, this little Intel. Oh, here it is. So I think I'm gonna blow this one off. Let me zoom out here. It's getting pretty busy on this table. So they say even sand the top of this GPU for what they say are printing bumps. Printing bumps. Feels pretty smooth, but that is some very, very fine sandpaper. So I don't think I'm going to sand this. Why? Because I don't want sand all up in here, and I don't know. Those printing bumps can just stay. I'll concede one to the engineers and say that, you know, it's good enough the way that they had it. So I'm gonna put this new processor on, just because I don't want to blow this thing off and then get dust into this part. So that's why I'm going to secure this processor now. It's on there. Okay. So now I'm going to blow this thing off. Should have probably taken this battery out a long time ago. But that's alright. It's whatever. If I short something out... Oh, man. And check me out. I want you guys to see this. Look at this. I'm on bare carpet with my socks. That's probably not good at all. That's probably not good at all. That would get me fired. Good thing I don't have a job in this industry, because I would be fired right now. But so almost ready for that shim. I'm just gonna blow this thing off. I'm gonna go. I just changed the processor. You know, it could have static electricity and whatnot. So I'm gonna go touch the doorknob, put some rubber sole shoes on, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I don't think that touching the doorknob is like the official industry standard way to like ground yourself or eliminate static electricity, but oh well. All right, I'm much more organized now. So I got my thermal putty here. And now what I want to do is, I'm gonna clean my parts off one more time. And now I have to check to make sure that, well, I'm shimming this. So, you know, shimming is a delicate process. Excuse me. When you shim something, you're, you know, usually talking about a narrow gap, you know. So in this case, I use a little bit too much rubbing alcohol. Well, in this case, I'm gonna have to make sure that the GPU is not being pushed down on. That's what you don't want, because over a while the board's going to heat up, and what happens in the Xbox 360 is the same thing that can happen to the HP-TX2, is the board warps, and you know, if your solder does happen to have some irregularities in it, that warped board just is going to make it to where the solder doesn't sit right after the board warps, and it's going to be kaput. At least if the board is flat, I think you have a better chance of, you know, if it does overheat, then I don't know, maybe the solder will settle better without a warped board. I don't know. People's HP-TX2s burn out all the time, so, and they're not pressing down on their GPUs, so I'm not sure how good that theory is. Anyhow, so this is a huge piece of thermal putty. So I'm putting that on there. This piece of thermal putty is huge, and I hope hope it works all right. So there's my GPU and my CPU. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this. I got it tested a couple times. So right now I'm just testing the GPU's fit with the big shim here that I have. I have a thick shim and a thin shim, thinner shim. It's not really thin, but so I'm going to try it with the thick shim first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of the thermal compound that I have on top of the shim after I clean my shim, because I've been putting my greasy hands all over it all day. And really, if I'm going to sand anything, it should be the shim. So here's me just getting some of the grease off of the shim, all the grease hopefully, and look at, I'm just putting it right on the board, just dusting it right on the board. Probably not a good idea. Anyhow, hopefully we'll be all right. So this came with some Shin-Etsu putty, this kit that I got off eBay. So now I'm going to put my copper shim right on top of the GPU. There's the copper shim. It's stuck on there pretty good. And they gave me this other putty too, and really I think that's what I'm supposed to use here, so I'm going to use that. I guess I'm supposed to use scissors. I gotta go get some scissors. Okay, this is a lot of putty. Now that I look at it, now that I take this off, I mean the putty is like as thick, if I can twist my hand properly to show the camera, the putty is like as thick as the shim. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following the instructions. So I'm gonna put that there. They say cut a corner of one of these packets of paste and dab it on the shim, and then put some of this. This is my other thermal compound, Shin-Etsu, some Japanese stuff. It's supposed to be pretty good. And so they said use a bit of this, and then you put everything, you put the heatsink back on and see if this little dab flattens out. If it does, then you got a tight seal. So I'm not going to use this white stuff because I think it's just going to be a pain in the ass. It's like in this little sealed thing. If I'm going to use any of this, I'm going to use it all. So I'm going to use a little bit of this. They said there's enough for 2 or 3 applications. So I only need 1 application for the CPU. That's what I'm going to be using this for. If everything goes well and I put it back together properly. So I'll just use a little bit as a test for right there too, because they said there's enough for 2 or 3 applications. And it looks like there's I don't know how many cc's that is, but there's a decent amount in here. I'd say they're definitely right that there's enough for about 2 or 3. So this is, it says something on here. I don't know if we can read this because this camera doesn't like to zoom in. So Shin-Etsu microz.com silicone. Let's see, this camera's not zooming in. Silicone compound for info, CMSDS, repackaging in USA, industrial use only. So let's see what we're working with. So I'm just gonna put a little bit, I don't know. Maybe I should use that other stuff. I'm gonna put a little bit of Shin-Etsu. On top of the processor. Just a little tiny bit. To make sure if it would ever get off of this damn syringe. Just to make sure that they're making contact. I'm gonna use this white stuff right now. If it doesn't, uh-oh. If it doesn't make contact, see, just like that. It's probably way too much, but that's all right. If it doesn't make contact yet, I'm gonna have to use that other shim. And if it does make contact, then I think I'm gonna be ready to put this back together. How I tell if this makes contact is if this really flattens out really nicely. If it's kind of like spiky, then it didn't make proper contact. So let's see, and this one should definitely flatten out. So let's get our heat sink, and I've got to put this back. For cooling whatever those things were. I couldn't even tell you what they were. Cleaned up kind of nice. All right. So now I'm going to put this heatsink back together, or reattach it to the board rather, and we'll see what kind of contact patches we get here and here. So this is just a test run to put it back on and see what kind of contact we get. Okay, we do have to screw it all the way down. So here's my screws, Fizzat. I should probably close this Shin-Etsu thermal compound back up. That way it doesn't dry out. Let's see. Gotta put my screwdriver back together. Number 1. 2. These are not all the way down. I'm not even putting, it's not even really pushing down yet. But just want to get these started, these screws, so that way when it is time. So now I'm going to tighten this one, not all the way, but a bit, to where I can see that it's, well, it's hard for you to see. See that it's tightening down a little bit. I'm going to go back around. It's getting there. So now, that's all the way down. Number 1, number 2 is all the way down. Number 3 is all the way down. And number 4 is all the way down. And I don't know if you can see this, but I can see the white stuff popping out. You should have been able to maybe see that when I was doing that. So it looks like we're making contact and we're not going to need this second shim, which is nice. I like the simpler setup, the better. And really, I mean, you could pretty much run with that. That's pretty nice right there. I didn't put much of that white stuff on at all, but it's on there pretty darn good. So that goes to show you don't need a lot of this compound stuff. So let me now undo this in the reverse order, and we'll look at what kind of contact patches we got. If our contacts points look good, then, whoops. If our contact points look good, then we might clean it off or just add a little bit more compound. I'll probably just add a little bit more compound. I don't know. Haven't really 100% decided yet. We might either clean these surfaces off 100% and go for the permanent install, or just add a little bit more of the compound. Not 100% sure yet. Oops. So let's take a look. Uh-oh. Oh yeah. So we made contact here with our CPU. Definitely made contact. And we also made contact here with our GPU. You can see that it's pressing up on there. All right, here I am. So what I'm going to do is clean off the CPU, and then I think this putty, I mean, look, the putty is as thick as the shim. So I think I got too much putty. I think I got way too much putty. Look at that. Look at all that putty. So I don't know. I think I'm going to take this putty and just form it around the GPU a little bit better, and maybe only use some of the putty, not all the putty. But first I'm going to go wash my hands and get all the oil out of my hands, because I'm going to re-roll this putty and get some of the air bubbles out and all that. All right, I'm back. So I'm going to take this putty off. Let's look at this, the underside of this shim. Put this putty to the side real quick. Man, this stuff's sticky. That stuff really sticks, man. That stuff's like glue. So maybe we maybe we won't take that shim off there. It's on there. It's on there real nice. So I'll leave it as is. But this putty, I'm just gonna rework. And maybe take some of it off. Make sure I get the air bubbles out by just squeezing the putty. Like I said, I washed my hands, got all the grease off of my fingers. So now I'm gonna put this putty on here again, but not all of it, half of it, because I mean that was a lot of putty. So let me press this putty on there. You can see me pressing it on there, and I'll even work it down to try to cover the sides. And that I think is a much more reasonable amount of putty. That's a good amount of putty. And you know what? That looks pretty much dead on the guy's picture that he has on his page. That shows you how to, how to do this. It's not really a walkthrough, not really a video that he has, but okay, that's good right there. I feel much better with that amount of putty. Because really, I want the heat to go out through the copper. I'm not sure how fast that this putty will eliminate the heat or will transfer the heat. But the copper, I'm pretty confident in the copper. It's one of the best conductors of heat like that, So that's good right there. I like that. That looks really good. So it's covering the whole GPU die. I think that's what you call it. I don't know. But that's pretty good. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And this is on there really good. Really good. This stuff is like glue. That white stuff that I put on there. This stuff right here. Stuff is like glue, man. So anyhow, that's good to know, because I'm going to use it later. I'm going to show you guys a trick that I learned from somebody else on YouTube doing the same thing. It wasn't to a TX2, but it was to something else. So now I feel better. Now I'm going to see if this flattens out when I tie this, when I tighten this down. So I'm going to do one more test fitting, and if this putty flattens out, then I think, oh man, it's sticking somewhere. Yeah, it's hitting the putty, but I want to make sure that, okay, I think that's how you do it. This part right here is kind of, let me see. No, you can't see that. This part right here is kind of loose. It kind of hangs over the board. Let me just move this a little bit. So this part's kind of loose. Hopefully it's on there properly. Anyhow, so I'm gonna tighten this down one more time and see what it looks like. Let's take another look. All right, so I just tighten this down again, and take a look. Looks good. I like that. I like that. That looks really good. Because you can't hardly tell that the putty's even there now. I like that. That's a good picture. I'm going to have to take a picture of that. So I'm going to take this off and make sure that putty flattened out on top. And if it did, then I know that that's enough putty. I don't need any more putty than that. So it kind of like destroyed this putty, pulling it off, which is good. That means I think that means that, you know, it was just a nice thin layer. So I think that that's perfect. That's all the putty that I want to use, but hopefully I can get it off now so I can do this all again without getting it everywhere. Okay. Try to get all this putty off. Excellent. Try to get all this putty off of here too. So now I'm going to clean my parts, and I got my tolerances, and then I'm going to put it together for real. I got the amount of putty that I need, that I'm comfortable with, which was about half of the amount of putty that they sent me. I'm going to clean everything off and just start from scratch. But this is going to be the final installation. So this is going to go to the side. This is the piece of putty that I'm using. This one's open for me to use the rest of. This stuff is really like, that stuff is really like glue. So now I'm going to clean all this stuff off. And this should be the last hurrah as far as this shimming part goes. And I got one other trick that I watched somebody do, and it looks like it's gonna work on this computer too. I'll show it to you. It's during the reassembly. Looks pretty neat. I think it'll definitely work. Well, I think it will probably work. I'm going to say definitely, but if we have to MacGyver it, then so be it. But I think that little trick is going to work too. So, and that should help reduce the heat too, I would think. Okay. So the board looks pretty good. Man, I'm getting excited now. This is actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. It's the first time I've done anything like this on a computer. I've just, you know, I've modded Xboxes, and I did a soft mod on my PS3 because I bought it. I bought it off eBay with a very low firmware on it, so that way it was able to be modded with just software, which is great because that means I didn't have to open it up. It's one of those backwards compatible ones with the PS1, PS2, and PS3 inside of it, the hardware. So opening that bad boy up is not something that I want to do at all. So I'm very, very happy. Couldn't have been happier with that purchase of that PlayStation 3. I know the PlayStation 4 is out, but as the PS3 gets older, you know, well, as any system gets older, the games are easier and easier to get. So that's why I got the PS3 and not the PS4. Because I don't want to spend $50 a game. Okay. So this thing is really spinning, this copper shim. Oh my goodness, this is stuck on here. Wow. This white stuff is something else. Stuff is like glue. Man. I mean, look at this. I could hang this whole thing, and I'm just holding the shim. Oh, it's sliding. It's sliding. That's a good way to take it off. See? It's sliding. When I do that. Ugh. Man, that white stuff is something else. Wow. But I mean, that's a lot. I tried to just put a little tiny bit on there, And that was good. I think that that amount was just perfect. I'm very impressed with that white stuff. It's like holds its own weight, and man, that stuff's pretty incredible. I just hope it I just hope that it transfers heat well. That's my main thing. So this is shaping up pretty well. I must say so. I must say so. All right. So now I'm ready to finally put this thing back together. So I'm gonna start with my putty, put it over the GPU, and just, this is putty, so it you know, normally you're just supposed to put a pea size piece over whatever it is that you're trying to put the thermal stuff on. But since this is putty, you can kind of move it around, you know, to where it needs to be. So they say, the person who sold me this, they say cover the entire die of the GPU. So that's what I did. Just kind of worked it around the edges. And this edge is actually kind of poking out. Uh-oh, it's peeling. It's peeling at the corners. I'm just kind of working it back towards the die, I guess it's called. I don't know. Just so it doesn't get too thin around the outside. Because I noticed it was kind of peeling back up. All right, it's looking pretty good. It doesn't need to be a masterpiece sculpture, so maybe I should just stop while I'm ahead. Yeah, that's good. All right, that's it. That's it. I'm not gonna touch it anymore. All right, so that's the putty there. Now I'll put some thermal compound on the CPU, and this is just that Shinetsu stuff. Just needs to be like a pea-sized dab. Okay, so I'll just press that down. I think it'll smooth itself out. I'm not gonna mess with that anymore. It's just like a streak right across the, because this stuff is really thick. It's like thicker than your normal thermal paste or thermal compound. So bam, I put that on there, It's quite a bit actually. So when I push it down, hopefully it'll move out that way. You don't need to do it yourself. It'll do it when you tighten everything up. So now the last two things is I'm gonna put the shim over my putty. I don't need to press it down that much because it'll do it by itself when I tighten everything up. And then this super glue type stuff is gonna go, I should put it right here on this. This stuff is something else. And again, that'll smooth itself out too. So I just put a dab. It came out kind of ugly. See, it's got like two bumps, but that's all right. I think it'll smooth itself out. It's kind of hard when you got like this little tiny thing to squeeze it out of, but I like this white stuff, man. It's pretty awesome. So anyhow, I'm ready to put this computer back together. So now let's do that. So I'm going to start putting this thing back together, and we'll see. I'll see you halfway through because there's one other trick that I should show you that hopefully will work. Uh-oh, I got a dab of something. Cool. That's it right there, folks. So I'm going to tighten this bad boy down. And that'll be it for the shimming part. If I can put this somewhere where the camera can see. Alright, that's what it looks like after the shim. I can't get really any closer to the board and show you. I don't know, maybe if I... No, I can't zoom in because I'm on this macro mode. But the shim is pretty close to the board. Not too close. Alright, cool. There it is. There's the copper shim. So I'm ready to put this bad boy back together now. And I'll see you halfway through for the other trick. Alright, so I just want to show you on the reassembly. Here is the Bluetooth in this corner. And they sent me the wrong screw for the Bluetooth. The appropriate screw is actually the screw that goes for the latch. So I took one of the latch screws, this one here, and used it for the Bluetooth because they sent me the wrong screw. Now, in order to get both your latches to work, I had to find another screw for the latch. This screw is a little bit longer, but it will work here. So there goes, so the latch, you can have both latches, which is important so your screen doesn't move sideways. And the only sacrifice is that now the power button only has one screw, which is fine because that's all you need. I mean, 2 screws here is overkill. You're never gonna be able to push in on this because the force is just not transferred. I mean, look at this is me pushing in on it. You can push this button a little bit, but it doesn't, the force doesn't even get transferred to this board here. Also, the only way that you're moving this is sideways. So there's no force that's, you know, trying to lift this up, and that's the only movement that is allowed. You can lift this up by, you know, a fraction of a millimeter, which is, I mean, it's not important. So this just works still just exactly fine. And yeah, so I think we got the screw situation figured out. So it wasn't that much of a problem. Don't have to order any screws. All right, so now I'm ready to show you that trick that I saw on YouTube. And it's gonna involve the thermal pad that we took off of the GPU. Check this out. So before I put this back together, I established the location of the GPU. I know that the GPU is right under this part right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here. This is a very sticky thermal pad. I'm going to put that thermal pad in here, right where I would set it. If the GPU were there, that's where I would set it. Now, notice the bottom of the keyboard is all metal. There's no, this is the wires. The wires go to the other side of this metal and go to the keys. Anyhow, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put this is the sticky part of this thermal pad here. Don't worry that the copper shim is right on the circuit board. It's not gonna stay there. So, here's my keyboard. Here's the sticky part. It's right over where the GPU is, okay? Right over it. Bam, that's where it would be. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take my keyboard as if I'm putting it in and press it down as if that's, I'm gonna put my keyboard in. But now I'm gonna lift the keyboard back out, and as you can see, my thermal pad and shim have stuck to this keyboard. So now what I'm going to do is take an X-Acto knife, cut this plastic, because this is sheathed in plastic. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, cut a plastic portion out around this shim, and I'm going to put that thermal pad back on this side of the motherboard, right where the GPU is, so that way heat can dissipate through the circuit board from the GPU into this metal back of this keyboard, which should dissipate even more heat. I mean, this is colder than room temperature right here, just feeling it, and the heat could travel all through this whole keyboard base. So that's another trick to get even more heat out of that GPU, and that's a trick that I saw on YouTube. So all right, like I said a little while ago, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to remove the plastic right around where the shim is. That way I can get some thermal conductivity between the thermal pad and the base of this keyboard. So now that I've outlined the plastic that I want to cut out, I can remove the shim and the thermal pad. So now I got this marked out here where I want to remove plastic. So I may have cut all the way through the plastic. Maybe not yet. So gotta keep on trucking. Voila. There's my plastic square that I don't want plastic there. And that is metal. Yes, it is. So now I'm right on the metal. Now what I want to do is I want to clean this little metal spot up. Let me zoom in. My little metal spot here. I'm going to clean that up with some alcohol. And it's good that I got this huge blank spot right here. Because I'm going to use a little bit more of this thermal paste glue stuff that I had from left over from earlier. Luckily this stuff sticks so well because I'm going to use that to attach this copper shim to the bottom of this keyboard. So I don't want to get all this goo through the keyboard onto my into my keys, so I'm going to be very conservative with this thermal compound paste glue stuff. I still do have this putty left over too, because I only used half of my putty. So I don't think it'd be a good idea though to put that there. So first thing I'm going to do is just clean off this part of the keyboard. I'm going to stick that right on here. Now I want you to notice something. This is upside down. This is not the way I'm going to do it. It's upside down. But I just want you to notice something. Let's see. I'm going to have to zoom out and maybe change the mode on the camera. Oh, maybe not. You can see... Wait a minute. Oh man, this thing's weird. Gotta zoom. Okay, whatever. So you can see that this copper shim is a little bit higher than this post here and this post here. These posts and this plastic that's covering the keyboard are made so that you don't short out. Notice that the base's keyboard is made out of metal. The reason why this plastic covering and this post is here is that so that this metal on the keyboard doesn't touch the circuit board that you can see down in here. Without that plastic sheathing and without that little stud thingy, that spacer, your keyboard would short out this motherboard. So you can see that there's these pads. There's a pad here, here, here. These pads are spacers, and this also is raised up off of the level of the motherboard. Now these keep the keyboard off of the motherboard. So it's important that we don't... It's very important that we don't short out the motherboard with this. This thermal pad is the only electrical insulation that we're going to have between the bottom of this keyboard and the motherboard. So this is very, very, you know, a touchy mod. So just be very careful when you do this. You don't want this copper shim to be touching right on your keyboard. I just I just wanted to show you that, you know, when you compress this down, when we actually put the keyboard down, this is going to get pushed down. You don't want it to go push down. You don't want it to get pushed down so much that it shorts out, that the corners touch the motherboard and short out your whole motherboard. That's going to be bad. So just a little bit. This is going to be perfect though, because it's only going to get smushed down to the height of these things, and it's not going to touch anything on the motherboard. I mean, this is going to be just right. So just keep in mind that we do want heat conductivity, but we don't want electrical conductivity here. So like I said, this is upside down. I'm going to be attaching the copper shim right to the keyboard. So this is a great way to ruin your computer if, you know, you're careless or okay. So this is where we're going to put the copper shim right there. And as you can see, this stud is at the level of that stud. The top of that stud is where the motherboard is. So with the shim on here, we still won't hit the motherboard. That's important. What is going to hit the motherboard is that thermal pad. So that's, you still need to be, this needs to be lower than these studs. That's the main point. Okay, otherwise you're gonna short out your keyboard. I mean, you're gonna short out your motherboard, and your TX2 is gonna be kaput. So I'm gonna clean my surfaces off real quick. I already cleaned this, but I'll touch it up again. Let me clean this extra shim that I had from this kit that I bought. Uh-oh. Looks like I got a fingerprint on here. I might have to sand this bad boy. Yeah, it looks like I got a fingerprint right up here. So I have a little bit of sandpaper left over. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sand this bad boy real quick. Get some of this extra alcohol off there. So here's my extra sandpaper, and get this fingerprint off of here. It's one of those grease fingerprints that you can't get out. Gone. But I may as well sand this whole side. That's pretty good. So now I'm gonna clean off the rest of this. Clean off this shim. Got a nice clean contact area. And take the rest of this little glue stuff, or this thermal paste, push it up and out, and just put it right there. Right on the keyboard. Yeah, that's metal. I'm gonna make sure that you get putting it on metal, not plastic, because that's plastic is not really gonna help. So I'm gonna put this stuff on here. There's some, and this stuff is like glue. I don't know if you saw me earlier, but I was supporting the whole fan heatsink, I mean, by the copper shim, because of this compound was in between the copper shim and the fan. So I have faith that this stuff is gonna work, is gonna keep that shim in place, because like I said, there's a danger of shorting out the whole circuit board. So I'm gonna take a Q-tip and just kind of move this stuff around a little bit. This is not you know, it's not like this is your processor, so I just want to make sure that I kind of glue this on here and spread this stuff around, because this is going to be like my glue, my thermal glue. All right, I'm gonna put I got my glue on there, pretty much, thermal glue. And I'm gonna put my shim on. Boom. There's the shim. And actually, because I used an X-Acto knife, and there's a plastic edge right around where this copper shim is, the shim can't really move any of these ways because the plastic edge is going to stop it. So that's reassuring. And now, so that's there. This is going to conduct heat through the keyboard. Let me clean this off because I pressed it down with my finger. Is this even wet? It's not even wet. This side is wet though. All right. And the thermal pad. We're going to put the thermal pad right on the motherboard. So there it is. That's that little trick. And then we're going to put this thermal pad right on the motherboard, right on the other side of the motherboard from where the GPU is. And that is, on this computer, that is right about, I want to get the cleanest side on the motherboard. On this computer, that's right there. So there's my thermal pad that used to be on the heatsink. Now it's going to sit between my keyboard and this copper pad. There it is. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna put this back together. This is gonna make contact with my thermal pad here, And when I put it back together, I'm gonna fire it up, and hopefully we're not gonna get fireworks when we fire it up. All right, see you then. Well, here we go. This is the moment of truth. I'm gonna try to turn this bad boy back on, putting the battery on, and if it catches fire, well, I love this laptop while I had it. Let's see what happens. That's not good. That's not good at all. All right, after all that, I'm having trouble seating this second memory module properly. So at least I don't have to take this bad boy apart again. But I found out what that crazy beeping was. It was just this RAM is not seating properly. Well, I'm not seating this RAM properly. I'm not. I just got to push it in more. I don't know if that's it right there or not. Man. I'll try again. See what I get. Hopefully I don't get that crazy ass beep. I'm having real trouble with seating that memory. Alright, Eureka. Got it. So we're booting up. And everything appears to be okay. So I was going to test out my Bluetooth module with this Logitech Bluetooth mouse, but I think this mouse has seen better days, because I mean this is just corroded to hell. I think we accidentally put it away in the on position. And this battery, I've never seen a battery eaten up like that. Maybe I'll show you guys. It's pretty nasty. But man. So I guess I'm going to have to take this apart before I even test my Bluetooth. I'm just happy that this thing's working. So we'll see what the temperatures look like on it after trying to beat on it for a little while. So we'll see how high they get. Alright. Till then. So it's pretty amazing, but I'll show you. Now I got the same episode of Star Trek Voyager playing. I'm scrolling through a PDF, and I've got 3 YouTube videos going. This is video 1, that's video 2, and that's video 3. Some hella buff dude. His name is Jay Cutler. Video 2 is a basketball game. And video 3 is like some type of C-SPAN thing. They're talking about how bad fast food is. I'll go back to my document I'm scrolling through on my PDF. And here is the Star Trek Voyager episode. Anyhow, what I want to get to is the temperature. The temperature is not even cracking 60 degrees. That's 20 degrees less. 20 degrees less. 20, no, I was at 85. I had to do all this stuff to get it up to 85 before, and now I'm at 58. Let me scroll through some more of this document. So I'm scrolling. Here's one video, two videos, three. These videos are way longer than the ones I was playing before too. This is a 1 hour video. This is a 2 hour video. This is only a 20-minute video, but these videos are way longer than the ones I was playing before. This is the same episode of Star Trek Voyager, and I'm at 60 degrees. 60. Not 85 like I was a few hours ago. 60 degrees. I can't believe that all this stuff made a 20-degree difference. 20 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's amazing to me. I'm very pleased. Very, very pleased. Scroll. Our video, it didn't even hiccup before. The video just does not hiccup. At least the video you play off the hard drive. I think it said it was an AVI. So scroll. I don't know what's going on here with this video. There we go. It's just the blank screen for a second. Here's the basketball, and here's the C-SPAN thing, and here's my temperature again. Just dropped from 60 to 59. It's unbelievable. Well, I think that's it for this TX2. Try to get this Bluetooth working. It's giving me some problems. Not only this hardware, but the drivers, I guess, are incompatible for Windows, anything above Windows Vista, which I didn't realize when I bought that Bluetooth modules. So that's what you get when you mess with eBay sometimes. But that kit that I got off them people on eBay is the shit. And that tip that I got for, you know, that little keyboard as a heatsink tip. Look at this. I'm at 58 degrees. I used to be at 85 degrees doing the same thing. That's like 37 degrees different. No, that's not 37. That's only, what, 27. 27 degrees is pretty significant, though. So I'm tickled pink right now. Wow. This thing's running like an Intel computer. Shit.